लड़ने चली हूँ आजादी की जंग, बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे। रीति की जंजीरें खा गई जंग, न्याय के मंदिर भी हो गए भंग, जमाना चले ना चले मेरे संग, बोलूंगी हल्ला आवाज दबंग, बेखौफ आजाद है कहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है कहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे। दीवारें ऊंची है गलियां है तंग, लंबी डगर है पर हिम्मत है संग, पाँव पे छाले हैं सांसें बुलंद, लड़ने चली हूँ आजादी की जंग, बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे। रीति की जंजीरें खा गई जंग, न्याय के मंदिर भी हो गए भंग, जमाना चले ना चले मेरे संग, बोलूंगी हल्ला आवाज दबंग, बेखौफ आजाद है कहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है कहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे। दीवारें ऊंची है गलियां है तंग, लंबी डगर है पर हिम्मत है संग, पाँव पे छाले हैं सांसें बुलंद, लड़ने चली हूँ आजादी की जंग, बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ
Okay, got ready. I think I got it.
Mommy, you have to mute your.
Now, That's an impactful video about Dialogues Cafe, who we are, what we do for you. Anxiety seems like a thin stream of fear trickling through the mind. Walter Inglis Anderson says anxiety and fear produce energy. Where we focus that energy noticeably affects the quality of our lives. Focus on the solution, not the problem. It's no wonder that our council, Lifestyle and Fitness, has chosen this very important topic, fears and anxieties, invisible monsters, so that we can bring to you thought provoking conversations and solutions for these fears and anxieties. Hello, everyone. It is so overwhelming in a nice way to see so many of you logging in from all over the world to be a part of this session today. I'm Sharda, an entrepreneur by profession and a fashion designer by passion, founder of Metamorphosis, based in Indranagar, but most importantly, a member of this council, and I will be your moderator for today. Welcome to the ninth and improved episode of Three Stories of Dialogues Cafe, an initiative of Lifestyle and Fitness Council, Karnataka WICCI, Women's Indian Council of Commerce and Industry. On behalf of our council and president, Minku Buttar, I welcome our amazing speaker, Dr. Sujata, who will be in conversation with our council member, Lovely Malhotra, who is the moderator for today. Dr. Sujata Kelkar Shetty is the author for the book 99 Not Out, Your Guide to a Long and Healthy Life. She's a biological scientist and a certified life coach and wellness coach, and is helping individuals and organizations take care of their mental and physical health. She's also a trained Hindustani classical vocalist and loves singing bhajans, Sufi compositions, and loves dancing. I'm almost tempted to say, let's have a
I think,
Sorry, did I go on mute
yes,
by any
yes,
chance?
that's okay. You were inviting Dr. Sujata to host a Sufi performance for us.
Okay, yeah, all right. All right, okay. I'm also joyous to share that today is a very special session as the president of our council, Minka Butter, who, as an international keynote speaker on mindfulness, will share some techniques with us that helps chase away fears and anxieties by staying in the present. She's also the founder of the Circle of Joy that holds self-mastery programs and retreats. We will also have an impactful 15-minute EFT, that's Emotional Freedom Technique session, an alternative treatment for physical pain and emotional distress using a methodology called tapping. This will be led by our council member, Mrudula Mohan Nair, who's the co-founder and trainer practitioner at redesignedthinking.com. Some housekeeping rules for all of you all. Please keep yourselves on mute. And at the end of the session, if we have time, we'll take up some of the questions after our chat with Dr. Sujata. So what are we waiting for? Grab your cup of coffee and stay with us till the end of this life-changing session, which will help us to face the invisible monsters which aren't under our bed, but in our mind. Over to you, Lovely, to help us lead us through the session today. Lovely.
Thank you, Sharda, for the wonderful introduction. A very warm welcome to all of you. While fear and anxiety have been around forever, I think the relevance impact around us has increased significantly in the recent times. Also, I believe the awareness and acceptance around these issues have grown. Today, we will try not only to understand the cause and effects of fear and anxiety, but also get vital inputs from the expert how to handle it. As mentioned by Sharda, we are privileged to have with us today Dr. Sujata, who is an authority on the subject. Welcome, Dr. Sujata. Let's have an impactful conversation around the topic. I would like to start with a quote from Matt Haig. Mental health problems don't define who you are. They are something you experience. You walk in the rain and you feel the rain. But importantly, you are not the rain. What does mental health mean to you? I mean, Is it as same as happiness and joy? Or is it simply the absence of mental illness? I invite your views on this, Dr. Sujata.
Thank you so much for having me this evening. So you asked about mental health, right? And it really includes us emotional, psychological, and our social well-being. And like you rightly alluded, it is not just the absence of mental illness, be it anxiety or depression. It is the presence of of active engagement with our mental wellness, so that we have certain habits in place to keep ourselves mentally well. Because mental health is a state of well-being where a person can realize their own capabilities. They're aware of them, right? They're aware of their own abilities. They're able to handle stress effectively. They can work productively, and they're able to contribute to their community.
Well, that's a great thought. There's a lot of overlap between fear and anxiety. How would you describe fear and anxiety? Like
So
the
see, fear,
the
fear.
which
Right. So
comes first according to you? And
I
what
missed your last.
is all about? Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So see, with fear, it's your fight or flight response, right? It's an immediate reaction to something that is about to happen. It could be something that is physical, like a tsunami or a fire, or it could even be something non-physical. And for all of us living in urban centers, it's primarily non-physical, right? It could be like doing a talk like this one, for example, or it could be going on a date for somebody who's sort of young and unmarried, or it could be even a party. So people have social anxieties, people have work-related anxieties, going in to talk to your boss about something that is important to you, like a raise, for example, right? So these are all situations where there may be fear in that moment. And it's a very natural response to threat. There's nothing about fear that is unnatural. We're all geared, hardwired for it because it protects us, right? It protects us from hurting ourselves. It makes us more thoughtful, more cautious, which is all good in the long term. The problem that arises with fear is when it takes the shape of anxiety. So with anxiety, it's usually about something going wrong in the future, thoughts about something going wrong in the future. It isn't necessarily about it being right now, right? And both fear and anxiety can come and go, but often they establish a home, right, in us. There's a famous Buddhist saying about, let thoughts come and go, don't serve them tea. And what happens with fear and anxiety is that we end up serving those fearful and anxious thoughts tea and coffee and lunch and dinner. It's like a 7-course meal followed by another 7-course meal. And what that happens is that it impacts your ability to function properly, whether it's work, whether it's sleep. Right now, a lot of people are having issues with sleep because of the environment with the pandemic, work, school. Everything becomes far more difficult when you have the state playing in the background. So it can hold you back from the things you need to do, the things you want to do, and can make you overwhelmed, right? So you need to break that cycle. And there are tons of ways of doing it. Anxiety is not something that you have to live with. It's a very common mental ailment, if you will. But there are plenty of ways that you can help yourself, and you can certainly seek help as well from outside. And in fact, today you're going to learn 2 ways of doing that. So it's a really proactive session that all of you are going to be enjoying.
Wonderful. That's a great point. In this pandemic, we are also affected by fears of death, losing dear ones, financial crisis, and other day-to-day fears and anxieties. And I've been reading that in the fact of fear, the goal is not to be fearless, but the goal is to be in a long-term committed relationship with fear. Make friends with it. How should we all interpret that?
So making friends with it means accepting it, right?
Yeah.
The acceptance of the fact that you're fearful, because you need to accept it before you can do something about it. Yeah. So the first step is acceptance. And therefore, once you've accepted it, you can find ways of working with it rather than being blindsided by it, rather than being caught like a deer in headlights, right? And times are incredibly challenging. There are extraordinary uncertainties. There's genuine threat to life. We're grieving, right? Not just about the loss of loved ones, but grieving for all the things we haven't been able to do, whether it's travel, whether it's spend time with the ones we love, whether it's our children not being able to go to school regularly. There are many experiences that we are grieving. And so this pandemic has already robbed us of things, and we don't really have a light at the end of the tunnel. We can be hopeful, of course, which we should be, but rationally speaking, we don't know when it's all going to end. So the fears are understandable. That's the only point I wanted to make there. There are plenty of things we can do to change it, right? So first thing, or to use it to our benefit, the first thing you need to do is write it down or acknowledge it. Whether, writing it down is a personal exercise. If you have a counselor or a therapist, go and talk to them, acknowledge it, voice it out, because the moment you voice it out, it becomes manageable, right? If the fear is about branching out of your comfort zone, right, doing something new. A lot of people are trying different things right now. Maybe they're changing jobs. Maybe the fact that we're in this sort of new environment where we were having to work from home is a shift for us. A lot of things that are changing for us. A lot of new things that we need to embrace. So, to get a well-rounded perspective, you can do an analysis of the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. So just physically write it down, and you might notice that the best case scenario actually is far outnumbering the worst case. Now, the third one, and this is really important, right? Most of our stress comes from the fact that we want to control the uncontrollable. We believe that we can, not believe, but we actually want to be in control of what we don't have control of. And here is a really important concept that has helped me tremendously, and that is recognizing what your circle of influence is. Mm-hmm. So you look at what it is that you can actually impact and do things there rather than being concerned about what you can't. And I'll give you a personal example. With everything that's been going on in Afghanistan all of last week and the week before, when the news first hit us, right? Mm-hmm. I spent one night sleepless. Like, it really disturbed me that this was going on so close to our borders, and there were all these worries and all these concerns that came up. Mm-hmm. And then I thought to myself, what can I do about this? And I decided that I would support Afghani girls who are stuck here, students, and may need our support to further their education, because they're not going to be able to find a way back. And the moment I did that, the moment I made that decision, that the fear morphed itself, right? The concern morphed itself. I was no longer anxious. I was no longer concerned, and I could move on, right? And finally, because given the times, right, and given the point about mental health, it's really, really, really important that you make active efforts for supporting your mental health, just as we talk about exercise, nutrition, and sleep being important for physical health. And believe you me, it's also important for mental health. For mental health, you need to do the same thing that you would do for your physical fitness, as in take time out to support your mental health with mindfulness training, right? It could be meditation, but it doesn't work for everyone. It could be a 30-minute walk in a beautiful garden or in your neighborhood where there are trees and that is calming for you. Or you could be the kind of person who benefits from high impact exercise, because the thing about high impact exercise like jogging or running and getting your heart rate really up is that you really get out of your head. Right? That just raising your heartbeat and sweating makes you get out of your head into the moment, and really flushes out all those sort of stress hormones and those stressful thoughts simultaneously. So these are some suggestions for handling the fear and anxiety that is inherent to our times.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you made this easy for us, easy to understand. So that wraps up the unforeseen fears that pandemic has brought. But we humans, fragile creatures that we are, we also create day-to-day fears and anxieties. For example, we are scared of making mistakes that destroy our self-worth in our own eyes, not being good enough. We're also scared of being judged, anxieties of negative opinions, all negative emotions that tear us down bit by bit. How do we become positive and resilient, Dr. Sujata?
I think it's really important to want to be positive and resilient.
I'm
But,
sure everybody wants to be positive and resilient. Yes.
yeah, no, I think,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's so true. I think people often fall into the trap of negativity and not realizing that there is another option. It's almost like you've gone into an autopilot mode. So it's important to recognize you want it. But before we get into it more deeply, I do want to talk about toxic positivity for a second here, right?
Wonderful.
Toxic positivity is like, is the,
now? Okay.
sorry?
Or should we take it up later, or do you want to say it now?
It'll be quick. It'll be really quick because it comes in the context of positivity in general.
Wonderful.
And it's the belief that no matter how dire or difficult a situation is, people should maintain a positive mindset. So it's like a good vibes only approach where you're not allowed to, to have difficult emotions. So being positive is not about not allowing yourself to have difficult emotions or not allowing the person in your family to have difficult emotions. Difficult emotions are part of life. And we have to go through them. You cannot go over them. You cannot go under them, but you have to go through them. This reminds me of one of the children's books I used to read to my sons when they were younger. It's a really, really important point, right?
Yes.
But because life isn't always positive, as we well know. So therefore, that's important to understand. That said, there are really 4 pillars of resilience that I've also mentioned in the book I've written, 99 Not Out, because it relates to longevity as well. But these 4 pillars are super, super important. The first one is gratitude, right? Because the moment you have gratitude, you are believing in something that is bigger than yourself. It could just be your family. Or it could be something bigger, like a higher power, like the Almighty. Mm-hmm. But the moment you do that, the moment you have gratitude, you immediately reach a different level of peace. And grateful people are happy people. There's a direct correlation, right? Research shows us this. We know this about ourselves. The more grateful I feel, the happier I become. That's certainly my experience as well. And because you know that there is something else that's responsible for the good things in your life. It's not you. It's not all about you. So it is also a humbling tool, right? And anything that humbles us is good for us. The second piece is mindfulness practices, which you're going to be engaging in later on, right? Yeah. Whether it is meditation, it works for some, it doesn't work for others, or yoga, or Tai Chi, or it could be breathing exercises, right? So just before we started this session, I was engaging in some breathing exercises before I began to speak. So, everybody needs it, including, seasoned speakers. And then, of course, the fourth piece, which is really, really important, I think, the third piece, is self-compassion, right? So this we could talk only about self-compassion, but I really want to touch upon it because you cannot be compassionate to others if you're not compassionate to yourself. And there are, the most important piece in that is self-kindness. So being kind to yourself, like genuinely kind. We're not talking about indulgence. We're not talking about going on a shopping spree. We're talking about being kind. So eating well, sleeping well, exercising, engaging in a spiritual practice. That's self-kindness, but also forgiving yourself, right? When you make those mistakes, that self-critical voice needs to quieten down and eventually, go and be replaced with somebody who helps you, reminds you of all the great things that you can do and all the good things that you're already doing. And particularly for women, right? We need to be our own cheerleaders in an honest way. So nobody's saying that you need to up yourself, but just the act, right, of writing down everything you've done in the day. Because we're multitasking, we're playing all these multiple roles, and we often forget everything that we have done. So if you just even take 5 minutes at the end of your day to write down everything you've done, you'll realize, oh my God, actually my day wasn't about nothing. There were so many things I had to tackle just to keep the household running smooth. Is an act of, juggling and calling and making sure the plumbers arrived and making sure whatever, there's always something going on that you need to fix. So that's really, really important. That self-kindness piece is very important. And if nothing else, think of it as something you're doing to be kinder to the people you love, right? If you can't find it in yourself to do it just for yourself right now, if that doesn't feel right, do it because you know that it'll make you a kinder person for others. And the last piece is actually really the foundation, because without that, you won't do the others. And that's a growth mindset, right? Growth mindset is mindsets are just beliefs. We all have beliefs. This is another belief, but it's a belief where you believe that you can learn and grow, master new skills, manage your thoughts, overcome your challenges, because you're also aware of how far you've come. And you know that new skills can be learned. Everything we've talked about today can be learned. There's nothing about it that is, rocket science, right? And some people naturally start to do it, and you find that they have, benefited from it as a result, but you can do it consciously. So it's always possible to become happier. It's always possible to become calmer and keep your mental health strong and resilient.
That was a much needed tool for being positive and on resilience as well. Even our scriptures have recognized the significance of anxiety. Sant Kabir says, Chinta aisi dakhni, kaat kaleja khaye, Vaid vichara kya kare, kahan tak dawa lagaye. Dr. Sujata, based on your experience, is there a role of meditation or diet or exercise in managing fear and anxiety? I know you touched it up a little bit. Could you give us some tools how to cope with it? How to drive these monsters away? They're just blogging us nowadays.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and I'm actually reminded of this phrase, Chinta और चिता एक समान है. इसमें मात्र एक बिंदु का अंतर आता है, right? चिंता मानव को मृत होने के बाद जलाती है, और चिता मनुष्य को जीवित रहने तक जलाती है. So, and that really, is at the crux of it, right? So I do want to say that if you're overwhelmed with anxiety, right? If you can't handle it, please seek help. Mental health is just like physical health. If you need help, you should get it. When you have diabetes, you don't try to fix it yourself. You go to a doctor. Right. The same thing with anxiety, right? As far as meditation, diet, and exercise are concerned, all have a really important role to play. It cannot be underemphasized. But if there's one important pillar that is missing here, and that's sleep, right? Yes. A minimum of 7 hours of sleep is essential, because if you don't get that sleep, you're going to be anxious anyway. So it's like it's just going to happen. So, and particularly as we get older, I'm talking about women, when we get to our perimenopausal, menopausal stages, sleep does become more challenging. So you need to put effort into it, right? Make it a time that you take very seriously. Give yourself, half an hour to wind down at least, maybe have a nice warm bath, listen to something peaceful, read something that is, peaceful or boring, whatever is needed to, get you to sleep. There are sleeping apps available. Try them if you're having trouble. But really, I mean, without sleep, nothing else is possible. And if you think about it, the entire animal kingdom sleeps. So there's got to be a reason for it, a really good reason for it, right? And just check on your vitamins as well. Micronutrients. Vitamin B12 deficiency mimics anxiety and depression. Magnesium deficiency keeps you from sleeping well. So your nutrition needs to be balanced as well, and protein as well to give you the energy you need for the day.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that's the piece on
That
nutrition.
was enlightening. We appreciate having these monsters clarified. If you allow me to be a bit personal, keeping in mind that you have studied Bhagavad Gita and shared your learnings with others, and on the other hand, you are a biological scientist, but being human, I'm sure you have had a set of challenges in your life. So I want to ask you, how did you handle your own feelings of edginess, anxiety, or nerves, And
yes, sure. First of all, I'm not an expert on the Gita at all. I'm a student of the Gita. I will always be a student, and I facilitate Gita classes as a householder. But on the aspect of how the Gita has helped, it's really helped me, at a level of at a foundational level, if you will, right? Because it re-emphasizes this point over and over again, and it's really the summary, the essence of our Vedas, and it's about understanding that I'm not the one in control, right? But I'm just an instrument. And it's about having that faith and building on it, that I'm deeply loved, I'm well looked after by the universe, by the higher power, by Sri, Krishna. And so literally everything, therefore, that happens is a blessing. Every single thing in my life. And the days that I believe that, because it's not every day, but the days that I believe that, I'm happy and at peace, right? So it's easy for me to say these things, challenging for all of us to put it into practice, including me. But what helps is by Gita studies. The fact that I go back to it every single day, the fact that I have to teach it, every week, because Krishna Bhagwan goes through these principles in different ways through the Gita. He says the same thing in different ways so that it really, we see it in different ways, and therefore finally, it'll enter
of life, basically, right? And we have to put it in practice.
You have to put it into practice, yeah, because the cosmic laws apply to everybody.
So true.
But we have to apply them to see, to see impact. There's a beautiful story that just came out about this Polish Olympic winner, right? She won the silver. And she decided to auction her medal away because she wanted to raise money for a child who had needed a heart surgery at Stanford Medical School. So she had an auction, and a Polish supermarket firm, like a supermarket chain, bought it for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And she thought that was the end of it, right? She had helped this child and saved its life. Now, you know how hard it is to win a silver. I think she's a swimmer or something in the Olympics. And for her to have given it away is in itself such a huge act of sacrifice and a true spirit of karma yoga. And the beauty about the story is that the Polish supermarket gave it back to her.
Oh, how sweet.
So, that's how life works. That's how the cosmic laws work. Now, they don't work immediately. This is a beautiful example because it's all happened in a time frame that we can see. But that's exactly how it works. When you do something selflessly, you are rewarded. There's just no way that you won't be. And you will never be left incomplete. You will never be without in anything except abundance. And here she got not only her medal back, she also got to raise money and save a child's life, right? So it was like a win-win that she had not expected. She had not wanted. She just wanted to help this child. But because her intentions were pure, it all came back. So it's really a beautiful story. I'm going to use it in my children's class. I thought I would share it here as well. And yes, so that's
you have truly opened our eyes to the science behind emotions. Those are wonderful insights. Now, you made me very curious, and I'm so tempted to ask you, since ours is a women-centric forum, is there any evidence of women handling anxieties better than men? I'm sure.
Perhaps you feel that way from the way that, from the women that and women certainly have a social network to support them, right? But research actually shows us that women experience more stress. Married women experience more stress than single women. Indian women experience the most amount of stress amongst all the women in the world. And when you think about the multiple roles we play, it kind of makes sense. That said, women are more likely to go to a doctor, seek help when they need to, right? Men are more likely not to. They're also likely to open up to their friends and their family, to the ones that are close to them, right? But given how central a woman's life is in her household, in society, it becomes really, really important that she prioritize her health and her wellness, yeah? And since mental and physical health go hand in hand, right? A 360-degree disciplined approach is required, where all four are emphasized, whether it's sleep, nutrition, exercise, and then some spiritual practice.
Oh, wonderful. I thought, we were like, really, we were able to manage stress better than men,
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm giving it, I'm not trying to sort of say women can't do it. Women can do anything they put their minds to. But the point I'm trying to make here is that stress is something you get acclimatized to. It's like the frog in the burning, in the boiling water experiment. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you put a pot of water to boil, and then you put a frog inside, and the water is first it's cool, right?
Right.
And then it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, and the frog actually dies, boils to death. And the point here is that we just begin to think we're able to handle it, but our bodies are not, right? So there is a huge connection between stress and every single disease, whether it's cancer or diabetes or heart disease or skin diseases or anything. And therefore, it's important to recognize that we do have susceptibilities, and the world has become a very different place. That requires us to really consciously look after ourselves in very, very concrete ways, make time for ourselves in a way that our grandmothers possibly didn't, but they didn't have to.
So true. Yeah, that was quite stimulating, and I hope every woman in this forum is listening to it and will take it up seriously, because we need to be strong, right? Another relevant question for you is, Dr. Sujata, as a parent, how can we make our kids the leaders of tomorrow, resilient and anxiety-free? This is like, I'm sure everybody would want to know this, because as a parent, we all want to know it.
Yeah. So I think it's important for us to know what our job is not, right? So our job is not to make our children happy by doing things for them that they can do on their own. Our job is not to entertain our kids all the time. Our job is not to distract them from their feelings. Our job is not to hide our own feelings. Our job is not to distract them from any discomfort they're having, right? Our job is to teach them how to be happy.
So true,
right?
So true,
right?
So true.
And that means accepting them, who they are, where they are right now. It means being non-judgmental. It means being, giving them loving support no matter what, and helping them stay on top of a structured routine. So this is really important right now, whether it's sleep, exercise, nutrition, their academic goals, right? They need structure. Children need structure. Children need you to keep that discipline going for them. They need you to be their lighthouses. You are guiding the way. So you have to, you can't be preaching. You need to be showing them by doing rather than saying. And that's how I was raised. And it's really powerful, because then you don't even have to say anything. You just have to do it. And of course, the doing piece is harder, but then you end up helping yourself when you're helping your children. And then it's a win-win, because, you haven't really preached to them, which they don't enjoy anyway. And yet they've learned. And so that would be my advice.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this. And you have to allow them to evolve and let them be. And whenever they need your help, just make yourself accessible to them. That's all what we need to do. Thank you so much. That was a very insightful session, and we have covered everything that needs to be covered. I have lots of takeaways today, and I'm sure the audience will also agree to it. Thank you, Dr. Sujata, for sharing your thoughts and experiences. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sharda. Sorry?
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Over to you, Sharda.
Thank you, Lovely and Dr. Sujata. Woohoo! So much to learn about our minds and psyche. But the uplifting part is that fears and anxieties can be handled if we allow ourselves to lead from a space of curiosity and joy. But guess what? There is one other monster, a naughty one, that stands in between leading a joyful life. It's the monkey mind. How to tame it? I now invite Mrs. Minku, our president, to lead us to a mindfulness session. Over to you, Minku.
Thank you, Sharda. And what a wonderful interactive session, Dr. Sujata, and Lovely indeed. I think in this pandemic, we humans are in such a state of flow and peak performance that we actually forget what's happening around us. And we have started literally consuming ourselves to emptiness. That's what my takeaway as a synopsis was from all that wonderful interaction between Dr. Sujata and Lovely. And it's so ironical, right? That we crave for calmness, but we get very quickly agitated nowadays, and we should be more loving. We need to be more kind. We need to be more compassionate. But so many of us have also become selfish. Let's not deny that. Maybe because maybe it's a survival game. So what's that one practice that we can adopt today, right away, in our daily beautiful lives that will bring us back to the values of what Dr. Sujata beautifully put? I enjoyed that so much. We need to bring back values of gratitude, humility, lovingness, forgiveness, because, chugging an extra shot of espresso doesn't give us the boost anymore. It used to once upon a time, and we used to say, okay, let's make that an extra strong coffee. But now I think there's a different answer we are seeking. It's in the power of positive thinking. And the road to reach this goes through a road is called mindfulness. It is the road that leads to well-being and maximum productivity. So before I lead you through this session, that will automatically, I promise you, start juicing your own thought processes and how you are leading your own life. I take this opportunity today to welcome you all in my capacity as president of this council, Lifestyle and Fitness WICCI Karnataka. What a pleasure to see loads of familiar faces. All the way, we have almost 4 continents here, so please give yourselves a round of applause. We've got all the way from Australia, Malaysia, UK, India. How amazing. And it also validates my absolute faith that the mission we chose in 2020 is absolutely in place, and that's the way we need to go. So let me start by asking you all, are you mindful or are you mindful? Mind with a pause. That means a mind that's full of thoughts of the past, stories that don't serve you anymore. What was discussed, fears of the uncertainty of the future that might actually never even happen. Right? So if you are in this category, I invite you to be a little active. Please switch on your videos. I love interaction. It motivates me. So do me a favor, if not for yourself, please put your videos on and write in the chat, MF together. If you are the ones who's caught up with a lot of fears and anxieties, and let's be honest, we are here to work on ourselves and share our stories. That's why we call this a 3-story forum. Okay, now if you are more or less able to come back to an equilibrium state and you manage to stay in the present moment where, more or less the past and the future doesn't haunt you as much, then write MF with a pause in between the two. Okay, so if you are really prone to anxiety, write MF together. If you are more or less in control, and you're allowed to lose it sometimes, we are human. So I really want to see the chat, a bit of both. I love that. I love that honesty. Okay, what am I seeing more? MF. So you can see there's a lot of anxiety, and I love the idea that you are all being so honest about it. Okay, and now why am I asking you to do this self-examination? Because, mind is everything. What you think, you become. And it's also true that the future is always in the now. It's beginning now. It's not tomorrow, and it's not in the past. So for those who wrote MF together, thank you for that honesty. And the minds can be full of unneeded storm. So it's not your fault. Please don't be harsh on yourself. That's what we always keep saying. Blame it on the monkey mind. Now, according to the Buddhist principles as well, the monkey mind, it's the restless mind. It's swinging from tree to tree. It's so unsettled. It's so restless. It's confused. And it has a knack of repeating old stories like a broken record. And it makes you play this victim role, and you go like, oh my God, my heart is bleeding. And you start thinking it is bigger. The situation is bigger than it is. And this monkey mind, it doesn't allow you to heal your traumas either. So for me, I call it an inner critique or the inner chatter. And it's connected to our egos. And I'm not going to go into that now. But I have a lovely ego minimizing meditation on my YouTube, which is under my name. So please go to it, listen to it. It is the most humbling thing you will ever do for yourself. And while you're there, you could press like and subscribe, because I am starting a fortnightly interview on how to introduce joy in your life. So then you will start getting all these stories from all over the world. So what do you do when your monkey mind is active and you're anxious and you're agitated and fearful? All you have to do is take a moment, sit down consciously to quieten the mind. And mind you, you will need to say, shut up. I'm serious. A lot of self-talk always helps. So when the monkey mind is agitated, just say, shut up, and please take a seat at the back of the room. Try it. It really helps. Even Rumi said, right? He said, look past your thoughts, so you may drink the pure nectar of this moment. How beautiful. So how can you give your attention to the present experience of seeing rather than the object seen? Do you see the difference? I'm going to repeat that slowly again. And this is going to be the crux. How can you give your attention to the present experience of seeing rather than the object seen? Now, there is a difference, okay? And the answer is by being mindful, paying attention, just noticing what's happening in the right now. I'm speaking. Now, if you're distracted and you decided this is the time I'm going to go get a cup of tea, or you said, oh, I'm just going to the toilet. Oh, what am I going to cook for dinner? Then you lose the moment. So you need to be mindful on purpose and without judging what is happening, okay? And just observe, become a watcher. Now, I do run these mindfulness programs for corporates, and those are 4 week long, but let's see how in the next 10 minutes that I've been allocated by my council, and we like to stick to our timings. So let me tell you very, very quickly, what is the advantages? And you must be wondering, what mindfulness, Minku? I'm okay as I am. And I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're leading a beautiful life. But we all are human. We have fears and anxieties, and we do need to stay in the moment. So what are the advantages? When you follow mindfulness, you learn how to take pauses. And you avoid responses you will regret later, right? Now think about this. How often have you rushed out of the door into your day, unplanned, without thinking how you would like your day to go? And before you know, someone or something has rubbed you the wrong way, and you've reacted like with frustration and impatience and rage perhaps. And in a way, you have reacted the way you usually wouldn't. Why? Because you were not mindful. You responded and reacted, right? So you reacted versus responding. So I see some of you smiling, and you know that this happens to all of us. So what happens when we don't react? When we don't react, we are being mindful, paying attention to our thoughts and feelings, our outlook and perception to that problem changes. This is literally what happens. And you allow the focus of the situation on hand. Your responses become clever, your decisions become wiser, and you do this without hurting yourself and you hurting others' feelings. The second thing that happens if you practice mindfulness is your meditation becomes deeper, okay, because we can focus longer. The third thing that I find with also in this conversation that came up earlier is stress and anxiety actually decreases. Health, sleep patterns, your problem solving capacity becomes so much better. It starts coming from a space of compassion and kindness. People love you more. They want to be with you more, right? When you're a loving and someone has a loving energy, you want to be with them. And this leads to stronger relationships. And I can go on and on and on. And maybe you don't even need the psychologist if you were an anxiety patient. So I think it's a great, great way. And where is all this happening? It's happening in the frontal cortex. I know it sounds like a name of a jalebi, but it's really where it is happening in the mind. Now, how do I start being mindful? I get asked this all the time. So today I'm going to give you some simple starting points on how you can incorporate immediately right after the session. You might want to write it down. I hope some of you are very ardent listeners and you have a piece of paper and your pen pencils with you. So I would suggest, as a mindfulness practitioner, start walking meditations. Now it sounds simple, but walk in a straight line, walk in a circle, but with total alertness. Focus on your breath when you walk. Notice the tautness in your muscles and how your foot is falling on the ground each time, even when you're driving. You know, I always take a deep breath and I sprinkle a little bit of self-compassion, such as, you know, my regular dialogue, and I've shared it with some of you before. I always say, may I be at ease. You may want to write this down and practice it. May I feel safe. May I be happy. Now look around when you're on the road and you see other drivers in rage. How about sending them some energy, right? May you be at ease. May you be safe. May you be happy. It doesn't cost us anything. So we start to inculcate a habit of being mindful. Well, how about mindful gardening? When you pull on your gloves, and if you love gardening, visualize the beautiful blooms that haven't even come yet. And that is what being mindfulness is. Do things with a smile. When you're exercising, and I know some of you personally, and you know, love the pool. So when you're entering the pool, pay attention to each stroke, the sound and the feel of the water surrounding you. And when you eat, you can practice mindfulness. Are you enjoying your mouthful, everything that you eat, or are you the kinds who swallow foods? Are you the kinds who fills up their plate when you go to the buffets, right? But if you say a small little prayer, and you know, we all do that in, you know, before the first morsel hits your mouth, I think just the prana of the food increases 100-fold. And if you are a regular meditation person, make it a daily habit. So be aware of your breath when you're sitting down. I do a few things that you might want to try. It works for me very well. Always choose a suitable place with minimal disturbance. Use the same space and the same cushion always. It increases your vibrations. Maybe use pure essence oils, light a lamp if you can. Now, all these lead you to intention, to attention, and attitude. And these are the three attributes I talk a lot in my programs. And the last one is mindful wake up. Start your day with a purpose. And since we've promised you an experiential session, I'm very, very happy to lead you right now through this before I close and pass this over to Mridula. Now, it's a practice. If you do it correctly, you will change your whole life forever. Would you like that? So if you do, show me some enthusiasm, put up some hearts, put up some thumbs up. I just want to see enthusiasm here, because when you're open to receiving, you shall receive, right? Okay, all right. So why do I talk about a mindful wake-up practice? Because that's when our subconscious is most awake. Most of you know that, right? If you've just woken up. So before you even reach out to the phone or to check your messages, set an intention for the day. And this is the most mindful practice you can do. So just follow my instructions right now. I invite you to just relax your shoulders. And for those who would like to go along with me, please do. And if you're not a meditation person, it doesn't matter. Take this opportunity to pause. You know, think of how your next tomorrow needs to unfold. Okay, so imagine it's morning. Close your eyes, and you have just woken up, and you sit down on your bed, on your chair, in a very relaxed posture. Close your eyes and connect with the sensations of your seated body. Make sure your spine is straight, but not rigid, right? Take 3 long, deep, nourishing breaths. Do you imagine the sunshine coming through your curtains? Breathe in from the nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in, breathe out. Second inhalation in, breathe out. The third, and of course, you will do that in your own pace. Let your breath settle down in its own rhythm. All you need to do is follow the in and out and notice the rise of your chest. Take a minute to just acclimatize yourself to this and ask yourself with your eyes closed, what is my intention for today? How might I show up to have the best impact? What quality of mind do I want to develop and work on today? What do I need to take better care of myself today? What do I need to do? If the difficult moments arise, how might I be more compassionate to others and to myself? How might I feel connected and fulfilled today? Now take a few moments, and I promise you, you will be guided by your inner voice when you do this every morning. Then set your intention for the day. For example, today I will be kind to myself. Today I will be patient with others. I will give generously today. I will stay grounded. I will persevere. I will have fun. I will eat well, or whatever else you think is important. And only you know what your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit needs, right? Now breathe in that wonderful oxygen in 2 more breaths and slowly, slowly open your eyes with a smile right now. Stretch like a cat and now rise to the sun and handle your day because your intention and your pace has been set. How does that feel? I just want to see some reactions. How is that feeling for you? Great, yeah. So what I can do for all of you is if you leave your email IDs in the chat box, I'm happy to give you this script. These are some guidelines that you can focus, and within the next 2-3 days, you will be able to develop your own. So throughout the day, don't forget to check in with yourself, pause, revisit your intention, and you will become more conscious. Your communications will improve, your relationships, your mood shifts, and most important, you will have a zero fear and anxiety day. So I end with this quote from Dalai Lama. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love others. If you have no compassion for yourself, obviously, you cannot be developing compassion for others. And there's one beautiful thing that a client of mine said that you can all relate to. And she said, mindfulness is like being the best possible parent to yourself. I love it. Present, gentle, attentive, compassionate, and grateful for each moment. My wish for you today, for all you lovely people, is that I would like you to fall in love with your imperfectly perfect lives. Lots of love, and over to you, Sharda, with this session of mindfulness.
Thank you so much, Minku. That was so wonderful. It reminds me of that line from poetry, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. And now, for that one technique that you can carry all over the globe with you. Do it at any time, anywhere, even in a toilet to calm yourself. Ladies, I give to you Mrs. Midula to lead the EFT session. So let's sit back and enjoy the session. Over to you, Mridula.
Thank you, Sharada. Now, after that wonderful talk by Dr. Sujata and Minku, they've covered fear so beautifully, fear and anxiety. And now I'm going to show you a technique. I won't talk about the fears, but let me show you a technique which is so powerful that it will help you wherever you are. So it's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. It's also called tapping because we tap on the endpoints of the meridians. It is a combination of ancient acupressure without the needles and modern day psychology. It is also called tapping because we tap on the endpoints of the meridians while tuning into the emotion or the issue. So you have to tune into the issue and then tap. It looks really funny. And I know how I thought it was really weird when I saw it, and I didn't think I would continue with it. But I felt so good afterwards that I kind of started to learn more and more and became a practitioner first, and then went on to become a trainer. It helps with pain relief, with stress, with emotional issues, even weight loss. When we tap, we send a calming signal to the amygdala, which is an almond-shaped component in the midbrain, which triggers the fight or flight response in us. This response is a survival mechanism that has stayed with us from our ancestors. They had to flee from a wild animal. The brain cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat. Today's stressors are different. It may be an email that you got, or an assignment that you have to submit, or your Wi-Fi is not working, or before the lockdown, it could be traffic. And there are so many other things that could stress one out. And like Dr. Sujata said, that it could be, giving a talk or meeting for young people, going out on a date. It could be just about anything. The stressors may not end, but your body doesn't know that your reason for being stressed is one of these things. So it responds with releasing cortisol. By tapping, we turn off that response. Now, here's a good thing. It works on skeptics and believers alike. Now, let's dive directly into it without wasting time. I'm going to show you the tapping points. That is the karate chop point. Just very gently tap over here 5 to 7 times. You could use this hand or you could tap here as well. That is the eyebrow point. You can tap on this side, you can tap on both sides, or you can just tap on this side because the meridians run down both sides of the body. This is side of the eye. This bone here, just there. Follow the bone down, and this is under the eye. Now, this is under the nose, between your nose and lip. The chin point is between your lip and your chin in this depression. Collarbone is just below this bone. So if you tap with 3 or 4 fingers, you would have covered. Then under the arm. For ladies, it's the top of the bra strap, or it's just 4 inches below your armpit. And then top of the head. This is one round of tapping. Now, if you don't like to tap, you can very gently hold each point and just breathe into it very gently. Just hold and breathe into it. Hold and breathe into it. Now, I'm going to show you the points one more time. That's the karate chop. That is the eyebrow point. That is side of the eye. That is under the eye. That is under the nose. That is the chin point, collarbone, under the arm, and top of the head. Well, now that you know the tapping points, let's see what we can work on today. We need to tune into the issue that we need to work on. So what is the most pressing issue? Tune into it and get a number. It's called the subjective unit of distress, or the SUD. So today, let's tune into anxiety and worry that we are all going through. Give it a number from 0 to 10, 0 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. Then start tapping on all the points that I just showed you. So let's start with anxiety. I want you to take a deep breath in and see where in the body you are feeling this anxiety. Just breathe into it. Give it a number from 0 to 10. If you know the points, you can even close your eyes and tap, tuning into the issue. For today's session, we are doing together, I'm going to use general language. But when working individually with a client, I would use language that is specific to them. Tap gently and breathe gently. Don't stress about getting it right. EFT is a very forgiving technique, and yet it's so powerful. It's the most powerful self-help tool. When we have a headache, we can take a paracetamol, we know that. But what do we do when we feel sad or we feel anxious or we're angry? Do we even know what to do? This is emotional first aid. So let us tap now. This is the karate chop. I want you to say along with me, even though I feel so anxious about all the uncertainty around, I choose to find a way to relax now. Karate chop. Even though this anxiety makes me feel so unsafe, I acknowledge it completely and I choose to let it go now. Even though I'm so anxious all the time, I choose to find a way to relax now. Eyebrow point. I'm so anxious all the time. Side of the eye. All this anxiety. Under the eye. I feel it in my body. Under the nose. It's safe to feel this anxiety. Chin. It's safe to let it go. Collarbone. The more I relax, the more my body calms down. Under the arm. Letting go of this anxiety now. Top of the head. I have choice. Eyebrow. It's safe for me to let it go. Side of the eye. I choose to feel safe. Under the eye. Letting it go and freeing myself. Under the nose. Releasing all this anxiety. Chin. I choose to be calm. Collarbone. I feel relaxed and calm. Under the arm. I feel safe and supported. Top of the head. I am safe. Now take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Check the number and see whether the number is the same or if it's come down. If it's the same, it means there's another issue that you may need to work on before coming to this. And if any of you are yawning, it's perfectly all right. It's your body beginning to get really relaxed. So that's when we start yawning. Since we have very little time, I'll quickly go into another round of tapping for fear, because this is the subject for today, fear and anxiety. And although Minku and Dr. Sujata have spoken so well about it, I'll just add a little bit more. Fear, it's actually a very primitive emotion. Fear alerts us to the presence of danger, whether it is psychological or physical or emotional. This can be real or perceived danger. Although we look at fear as a negative emotion, it actually serves to keep us safe and helps us to cope. When we find a way to cope, this reduces the intensity. If we stay in that helpless space, it intensifies our fear. I'm sure you felt this. Sometimes we hold on to childhood fears that do not serve us anymore. We need to free ourselves from our own stories. So many of us live in that chronic overwhelm and freeze state. Sometimes we get addicted to this. We have to go beyond the words and tune into the body. There is an entire universe when we feel that. trauma is not in the event. It is stored in the nervous system. So the body has not yet been able to process it and return to normal. Trauma is a reality. It's a part of life. But just remember, it does not have to be a life sentence. Every issue, every illness has a deep emotional component that runs through it. It is very important to release the emotional trauma by addressing the emotional side to our physical symptoms. These emotions are in our energy field, and that's where we need to address them. Trauma actually has a frequency like electricity. It has a charge, and with EFT, we can diffuse that charge. There are so many methods to release this. As Minku has also said, and Dr. Sujata has said, but let's see how to do this with tapping. Once again, I invite you to close your eyes and think of something that causes you a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, or overwhelm. It can be an event or a person. What is the emotion and where in the body do you feel it the most? Give it a number between 0 to 10, 0 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. And now let's start tapping. Once again on the karate chop. Even though I'm so afraid and anxious all the time, I choose to love and accept myself as I am. Karate chop. Even though I have all this fear in me and I feel so stuck, I choose to love and forgive myself. Karate chop. Even though I'm worried and anxious, I choose to stay open to finding a way to love and forgive myself and anyone else who may have contributed to this situation. Eyebrow. All this fear in my body. Side of the eye. All this fear that I feel. Under the eye, I can choose to find a way to release it. Under the nose, I can choose to let it go. Chin, all of this anxiety. Collarbone, all of this worry that I feel. Under the arm, it's not helping me in any way. Top of the head, all of this fear and anxiety in my monkey mind. Eyebrow, all this worry. Side of the eye, it's not doing any good. Under the eye, part of me believes I need to worry. Under the nose, this worry keeps me safe. Chin, if I don't worry, something bad will happen. Collarbone, if I let go of this fear, something bad may happen. Under the arm, all this worrying is making me uncomfortable. Top of the head, by holding on to it, something bad is happening anyway. Eyebrow, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Side of the eye, being afraid that I'll be afraid. Under the eye, I imagine that I will be anxious. Under the nose, I feel anxious just thinking about it. Chin, all this fear that I feel and the anxiety that I experience. Collarbone. Most things that I worry about aren't happening. Under the arm. All this fear and threat is in my monkey mind. Top of the head. Clearing all this fear and anxiety. Eyebrow. Releasing all this painful worry. Side of the eye. Releasing any physical symptoms. Under the eye. I am resilient and I can handle this. Under the nose. Allowing my breathing to become calm and relaxed. Chin. Clearing all this fear from my past. Collarbone. It was trying to keep me safe. Under the arm. Clearing all the fear I felt in the past and kept feeling. Top of the head. Clearing all the fear that I was told to feel as a child. Eyebrow. I don't need it anymore. Side of the eye. I can take care of myself. Under the eye. Releasing all self-doubt. Under the nose. Allowing myself to relax. Chin. Allowing my body to feel calm and confident. Collarbone. I have faith that I have the capability to release this fear. Under the arm. I love myself unconditionally. Top of the head. I am calm and confident in my body, mind, and spirit. Take a deep breath in and see what is the number. As I said earlier, if the number hasn't changed, there is another issue that needs to be worked on before you come back to this. So if there's any questions, you can put it in the chat box. And if there is, I do lead sessions every alternate Saturday. The sessions are free. It's 1 hour between 2:30 to 3:30. And anybody wants a link, please send me a message and I'll send the link to you. In fact, tomorrow I will be doing a session at 2:30. I hope you enjoyed the session. Like Minku said, I love to know, so you can put some reactions, it'll be lovely. And if you thought it was funny, that was fine. It does look funny. I don't disagree with you at all. Okay, over to you, Sharda.
Yeah. Wow, that was such a powerful session. If some of you here feel lighter, de-stressed, and can take on all challenges in the future, calmly in life, to shine brilliantly, I think our hard work to curate these dialogue sessions through our council, Lifestyle and Fitness WICCI Karnataka, is so worth it. On this note, before I invite our council member, Ajita Vijayan, to close the session, let's celebrate all that we are, all that we can do, how far we have come, and how much further we need to go. I thank each and every one of you for being such a wonderful audience and wish all of you a great evening and a wonderful weekend. I'm Sharda N. Arya signing off. Over to you, Ajita.
Thank you, Sharda. And what a wonderful evening it was. I hope you all are feeling loved, supported, understood as well, because just the awareness of all the emotions and the fear and anxieties that we are going through is important. And it was so lovely to hear from Dr. Sujata, you know, the recognition, the ways of self-love. And I really resonated with her as a health coach, you know, focusing on wellness in terms of nutrition, exercise, de-stress, meditation. They really are powerful tools. So one is to acknowledge what's happening to you, and one is to learn the coping mechanisms. I think both counts. Fantastic. And with Minku's mindfulness session as the president of the WICCI Lifestyle and Fitness Council Karnataka, it was a brilliant idea to curate this session today and put it together in the time that we really need it the most. And with Mridula, I just love tapping with her because it's okay to yawn. It's not disrespectful at the end of her session. I just felt so much lighter and better. I hope you did too. So ladies, make use of these tools in your everyday life, and just love you being here with us from all over the world. Would love to have you back. The next month is going to be another powerful session that's on forgiveness and how liberating is forgiveness, forgiving yourself and forgiving those with, against whom you have things harbored. And that is going to be on the 24th of September, because the last Friday is earlier this time. So mark your calendar, save the date, and come back to be with us and celebrate this powerful forum of sisterhood. I wish you all a wonderful evening. As part of the WICCI Council, we love having you time with us, and stay connected. You have all these powerful links that Minku and Mridula are sharing, and let's always make the most of it. Stay well, stay blessed, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajita. I take this opportunity to thank you, Sharda, for lovely emceeing. I think it's fantastic how you held forth. And to all of you, I know it's pretty late in some parts of the world. So thank you, bless you in deep, deep, deep gratitude for making this work for yourself. Because end of the day, this is your session, and we are just here as motivators and instruments in bringing a change. So good night, Ajita, thank you. Lovely, fantastic. And Dr. Sujata and all my council members, thank you so much for being there in the proper team spirit in its true word. Thank you and good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful session by all of you.
Thank you.
Great.
Wonderful. Raghu, I think we can close the session, and we'll work with the recording and the Srividya, you have all the emails. Share it with actually both Mridula and I, and